Hi, my name is Catherine Roberts, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of the Quilts of Valor Foundation. I'm coming to you today to ask for your help in making a patriotic friendship star block. This is an instructional video of how you can put together this block. It consists of 9 squares, and 4 of those are just regular plain old squares, and the other 4 are half square triangles. All the quilts that we award to our warriors, the one that gets rave reviews all the time are the ones with signatures. So what we want to do is repeat what we did last year at the International Quilt Show in Houston, and that is have people sign blocks. They can sign their names and well wishes. So what we need are blocks for them to sign. So this little instructional video is a how-to of how you can very easily put together this 9-inch friendship block. This is what we need for the one 9-inch finish block. We need 4 red or blue 3.5-inch squares, and we have those right here. And we need 1 white 3.5-inch square for the center. So what you can do is cut these individually, or you can take a strip of fabric and cut it 3.5 inches wide, and then take that strip and cut it into 3.5 inches. And then you have 3.5-inch squares. Now we have our half square triangle blocks that we will be making. We want a finished size of 3.5 inches. But in order to get that with the least amount of ripping things out, we're going to cut our squares 4 inches. So you need 4 4-inch square red or blue blocks and 4 4-inch square white blocks. Here we have our 4-inch size blocks that will eventually be our 3.5-inch square half square triangle. These are the right sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them together, right sides together. Okay, and now I'm going to mark this so that we can make our half square triangle. As you can see, what I did here is I drew a line from this corner to that corner, and that is going to be my cutting line. Now what I need to do is measure 1/4 of an inch on this side and that side, and those are going to be my sewing lines. What I did is I drew 2 other lines which are 1/4 of an inch from the center line, and these are my guides for sewing. Now do you see where this line is? What you want to do is you want to make sure, see I didn't do it here, but you want to sew your sewing line on this side, just a hair on this side of the line, because when you open it, this is your 1/4 inch margin here, and if you sew right on it, you're going to have less than the amount that you need. That's just an FYI. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down the center. And now I cut down the center. The next part will be you open these up and then you're going to press them. Okay, so let's pretend I press them here. And when you press them, don't iron them from this side, but iron them from this side with your dark fabric here, and just sort of put the iron there, and you'll snip off those dog ears. And then once this is pressed, what we're going to do is we're going to square it up to 3.5 inches. Okay, here I am back from the ironing board and from squaring up the block. So this is the block when I pressed it, and then this is the block once I've squared it up to 3.5 inches. And if I turn it this way, you'll be able to see that we had a little playroom here with which to square up the block. It's much easier to cut away from your finished block, that is this, to square it up to 3.5 inches versus having something that was exactly the size that it was supposed to be and you didn't sew your seams correctly. This is for the half square triangle, and here is the 4-inch squares, the white and this colored on the back, right sides together. I drew a center, a line down the center, and then 1/4 inch lines on either side for the sewing lines. And then remember, when you sew, to sew a hair or a thread on the interior side of your sewing line. So then the next step is to cut down the center, which I did here. And then when you open and press them, you have your half square triangles, and you want to square them up to 3.5 inches. Here we have our 4 corners, which are the solid 3.5 squares. And then we have our 4 half square triangles, which are 3.5 inches, and then our center one. So basically what you're going to do is sew this to here, and then that to that. So you're going to sew each row, this to this, and then that, this to this, and then that. And then you'll sew this row to that row, and then these 2 rows to this row. Voila! You have your 9-inch completed Patriotic friendship block. And that's all there is to it. So what we would like you to do is we would like you to make a couple, one or a couple, and send them to us for Houston. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have people write messages here to the recipients, and then these will be put into a quilt top, and then they'll be quilted and awarded to our war wounded or those who have been touched by war. So as you can see, you can make all sorts of different types of very nice looking blocks. Thank you, and I hope to see your blocks in Houston. And after Houston, please continue making them. Would love to see these quilts flourish.